I stand up on stages, or other people stand up on stages and perform the work that I've written as well. I do cross-art performances sometimes, exhibitions. I often work collaboratively with other people. Participate in the arts, if we can even say what that is. I'm involved in that in various different ways. I like working with community groups and with young people in particular, schools, universities, sometimes work on one basis in a sort of mentoring relationship as well, and often it's part of a residency or commission of some sort. Yeah, so the common thing throughout it all is that I like to work with people, I think, and I think that's, to me, what everything I do is about. So even if I'm sitting at home writing poetry that's going to go into a book that people are going to read, then people are going to read it. So it's about the person who's going to consume it in some way at the end, or interact with it in terms of reading it. So I think that's the common thread that I have throughout all of my work. And I don't think it's something I've imposed on the creative work that I do. I think it's just something that's inherent in the way that I like to make things, in the way that I like to work. So because we're talking about participating in the arts, I want a participant. I want a volunteer, because if you're hiding. Either to come up on stage, or you can do it from your seat if you want. Because I've made my presentation slightly interactive. No, nobody wants to participate. Joe's half putting his hand in. I couldn't press down someone who had no one in the room to do this. Yeah. If I need a volunteer, if I be Paul Daniels, will you be my Debbie McGee? Can we put it like that?
He's always wanted to be Debbie.
Would you please come and stand on stage if you don't mind? He's much taller than me. All I want to do is flip a coin. Give me the answer. It's a tail. It's a tail. Great. Right, thank you. Your job is done. Thank you very much, Toby. See, it wasn't that bad. But I did make him participate. I don't do that to people in my workshops. So I'm now going to give you the presentation that tails means. So there are options. You'll get heads as well this time. Tails, there we are. So tails is all about challenge. Challenge is one of the things that came up in the list that Sharon sent us. The specific question was, how much do you challenge participants and yourself? And I was quite interested in this because, yeah, I didn't know whether I challenged anyone at all, really. But after going through it, thinking about it in these terms, I think I probably do. So I'll just look at a few projects and talk about how maybe challenge has worked in those things. How I've been challenged and how the participants have been challenged. I suppose are the two things that we'll be thinking about. And always with all of this, actually, I think it's really important to say before I start that it's all about the way that I do things. And one of the things that I really strongly believe is that all artists and practitioners and writers in any form have their own way of going about it. So I don't present this as this is the way it should work. I present this as this is the way that I tend to do things when I work. And you'll see anyway that it really varies from project to project as I talk about it. Yeah, so this project was called, this in the end it was called Future Options Pack. It was a project which involved young people from an organisation called the Regional Youth Work Unit, which some of you more than likely have heard of before. It was organised and run in Culture Lab at Newcastle University, where I have an association and I do things there sometimes. And basically what happened was some young people who were part of this, some highly motivated young people who were part of this sort of organisation, Regional Youth Work Unit. They have a panel of young people who meet and discuss and work out what young people want and things. Decided that all of the information that was out there for young people relating to educational choices was not relevant to them. It was aimed at another audience, and they thought that it was really difficult for young people to have a conversation with adults about it. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to create an interactive game of some sorts that they could use to educate adults and grown-up people about what young people really wanted to do when they reached the age of 19 and what options were open to them, so that they could have sensible conversations with their parents about it. So it was completely led by the young people coming up with this idea. They decided that they wanted to do it, and they did, first of all, they were working with an organisation who approached, they thought, oh, DVD, video will go to ITV, telling people, they'll do that for us. And they went to see them, and then the young people had a few meetings with them. They made a video, which was all nice, very fancy and things, but it didn't do anything that the young people wanted them to do. So they got it back, and then these being highly motivated young people, they were like, no, we don't like this. We want something else. We want something interactive. It's got all the wrong information in. We can't get, this isn't going to work. This is just something that adults have done that they think young people want. So they ended up coming in and talking to us at Culture Lab, and they ended up working with me and a couple of other people there to create an interactive DVD, which were involved all of the design and technology and everything that was part of that, some writing, some graphic design, web design type stuff, packaging that all as a DVD, and then taking it into school and trialing it to see if it worked. In this particular instance, I don't think really that it challenged me specifically that much. I didn't feel as if I was pushed in any particular direction. It was different to what I knew before. It certainly challenged the participants, though. They got involved in elements of the production of a creative project that they would never have been able to do unless they were presented with this sort of opportunity. So this was one of the things. They came up with a game, basically. So the game on one side, it was a game for parents to play with the young people. And you click on, you scrunch up balls of paper, and you would open out with a question what options are open to a 16-year-old school leaver or something. 3 options, and then the parent had to type the answer to the question in, and right, they got a score at the end, whether or not they were right. So I think they were challenged, and that was partly driven by us, but more by them in this situation. They wanted to challenge themselves. They came to us saying, we want to challenge ourselves, we want to do this thing, can we do it, please? So that's one example, but I don't know whether I really got much out of it. Probably not. A story to tell people, maybe. The Theatre Royal, I ran a project for them, or was involved in a project. I didn't actually run it. Called Write All About It, which was part of a program called Seconds Out, which happened there. For this project, I was working with groups of excluded young people in Gateshead in various different settings. So that varied from young people who were in educational units where they'd been excluded from every possible school that they could go to. So there's a place you end up at where the really challenging young people end up, to young people who experienced some sort of real tragedy at home and they'd stopped going to school because they were having real personal problems or something like that. So they were maybe taught in a community centre somewhere. And for the whole basis of this project for the participants really was about challenge. The theme was boxing, because Newcastle is where they're now, aren't they, 2012. In the Olympics, the boxing is going to be based in the North East. And funding would come through this. I don't know, they may have changed their mind now, I haven't heard anything else about it, but the funding came through this so the whole thing was almost adversarial in its structure. The idea was that I worked with I think 6 to 8 different groups of excluded young people, and at the same time there was somebody else working with about another 3 or 4 groups in County Durham as well, and each of these would write a 10-minute script which had some connection with boxing, for a radio script, and then a panel of people from the Theatre Royal, including me, would decide which ones were the best, and then the 3 best ones would then be produced, and one of those would then be chosen and then taken on to the next phase and produced at the Edinburgh Festival as a stage play, working with somebody else. So on the level of the project, there was challenge built into the structure of it all the way through. It was, like I say, adversarial in its very essence. For me, as someone who's going into a particular environment and working with anything between 2 young people and 10 in a community centre or in a sort of young person's learning institute, whatever they're called, I don't even know what these places are called really. I had to really, apart from the whole challenge that was there, I had to try and figure out with the individual participants what it is they were going to get out of it. Because I wasn't going to get the same out of it. But strangely, one of the groups I got were gifted and talented students from a school in Gisborough, which is a middle class area in Teesside. So I had those sort of ends of the spectrum in terms of the people I was working with. So I couldn't have a generic approach to the way in which I challenged those groups. I had to look at each individual group, spend time with them, look at the project went on for, it was maybe 15 weeks or something that I spent a couple of hours with each group. And the way in which I challenged each group was developed probably over the first 5 or 6 weeks, and I had to really think about it on a group by group basis. What am I going to do with this group to get them to go as far as they can? And I had to design a bespoke activity for every group that would push them as far as they could get. There was one group where I was there for an hour and a half, but I only had them for 10 minutes. Then after that, they were literally running around the room, throwing board rubbers at each other and telling everyone to F off. And then there were only 3 in the class at a time, and I might end with one of them after about 20 minutes who didn't want to engage anyway, they just wanted to draw pictures. So, that was what I had on the one hand. I had to create a complete structure and then get them to make stuff that I could drop into it and actually do quite a lot of the work myself as well. With the gifted and talented students, I could go along and just teach them basic principles about writing and about drama, and we could do that for 5 weeks. And then they'd go in, do stuff, and come back and go, look, I've written this script while I've been at home the other day. And so you can't challenge those 2 groups in the same way. They're opposite ends of the spectrum. It certainly challenged me in terms of how I approach these sort of projects, because it forced me to think about that problem that I've just described. And also, I'd never written, the radio plays were live radio plays. They were performed by actors on a stage in front of an audience, and all the sound effects were made. It was in the 1940s. It's a great format. They were performed at the Theatre Royal with a professional director and actors. And I'd never written a radio script before as well, so I did something I'd never done before that was performed in that way. I'd done some script writing stuff, but not in that precise way. So there was a professional development thing. I actually got a commission out of it as well, which came out of someone who was there and was involved. So there were lots of ways in which I was challenged and pushed and practiced. The next project is called Book Apothecary, and it is an artist collective based in the northeast, set up by the visual artist Beth Hawkins, who works with books and paper in various ways. I'm sure many of you have seen the work or have heard of it. We have a travelling museum of artist books.